Welcome again to Joe Stunner Boxing. I hope you're doing well. There is some boxing, quite a bit of boxing on this weekend coming, but I was looking through the listings and there aren't really many fights that catch my eye. Like there's a Sonny Edwards fight, and the rest of it, that's on DAZN. The rest of the card, there's not really much on it. It's kind of very uninspiring. And the same if you look at the American cards that are on. But there is one fight that I thought it did catch my eye. It's not a particularly great fight, but it's probably going to be worth watching because of the styles, and it might be quite entertaining. And that is the fight between JAIME Munguia and Sergyi Derevyanchenko. Derevyanchenko is from the Ukraine. He's 37 years old, a 5'9" orthodox fighter. This is at middleweight, by the way. And he seems to have been around for a long, long time, doesn't he? But the thing is, he's still only got 18 fights. He's got 14 wins with 10 KOs, 4 defeats, but interestingly, none of the defeats are inside the distance. So this is a tough guy. And if you look through his record, I mean, he's only won, I think he's won about 2 fights out of his last 6, maybe, something like that, or 7. But the quality of the opposition has been very, very good. So he first sort of broke onto the scene, I suppose, when he fought for the IBF middleweight title against Danny Jacobs. And he was over in the first round, got up, fought back very, very well, gave Jacobs plenty to think about, and won a split decision, lost a split decision, excuse me. A lot of people disputed that, but the cards were close. I mean, Derevyanchenko's card was 114, 113, and Jacobs had 2 115, 112s, I think they were. So you're talking a close fight, a very, very close fight, actually. And he came back from that first round knockdown. So he's a tough guy, real tough guy. And then he had a little comeback with Jack Colkay, unanimous decision over 12. And then he took on Gennady Golovkin. And this was in 2019. The Jacobs fight was in 2018. Jacobs' fight was for the vacant IBF middleweight title and against Golovkin. He again fought for the IBF vacant IBF middleweight title. I don't know, it's just belts, isn't it? It's like Oprah dishing out those presents. But anyway, he fought Gennady Golovkin, who at the time was 31 wins and 1 defeat and 1 draw. And we know who the defeat and the draw were to. And he lost a unanimous decision. He was over in the first round. Again, as with Jacobs, Gennady Golovkin had him over in the first round. But he came back well, and he gave Golovkin a lot to think about. And again, the scorecards were close, like 115, 112. That seems to be quite a common card for Derevyanchenko. And I think the other one was 114, 113, something like that. But so very close cards. He then fought Jamel Charlo for the WBC title. And he lost clearly. In my opinion, he lost it. He lost that fight, definitely. That was a unanimous decision over 12. He then fought Carlos Adames, lost a majority decision over 10. We're up to 2021 now. So he then came back, but I think the only fight he's had is against Joshua Connolly, which he won a 10-round decision over him. It was just a workout, really. Won most of the rounds, if not all of them. So if you look at his recent form, 14 wins, 4 defeats, never stopped. You can't knock the quality of his opposition. I mean, he's fighting, and he fights anyone. He's clearly a guy who'll get in there. He's had his world title shots, but he hasn't quite been able to get over the line. And he's 37 now, Ukrainian. You do wonder with Ukrainian fighters in this day and age, because of what's going on in their country, whether it inspires them to train harder or be tougher or whatever. I don't know. But anyway, let's go on to JAIME Munguia, because he got 41 wins, no defeats and no draws. And he's still only 26. Mexican fighter, 6 foot tall. The former WBO super welterweight champion. And he won that in 2018 against Saddam Ali. Ali had just beaten Miguel Cotto. And Munguia just smashed right through him, stopped him in 4 rounds. I mean, Ali was down, I think, in round 1 and with 2 and round 2. 4. I mean, he's on the floor a lot anyway. That's about 3 knockdowns, I think. And then he went on to defend it. Actually fought Liam Smith, won a 12-round decision, had Smith on the floor. I think it was round 6. Wide cards, and rightly so. I don't think Smith won that fight. But he did give, even then with Smith, Smith's a tough guy. He's a proud man. But Liam Smith, there were little moments where he was landing cleanly, and Munguia is not difficult to hit. He is a pressure fighter who will step forward, try to put the heat on you, try to bully you, try to keep that mental pressure going, try to keep you off your game, constantly resetting, but he's not difficult to find. I mean, if you're fresh and active and athletic, you can land punches on this guy. I don't know whether you can hurt him, but you can land punches on him. So after he'd beaten Smith, I think he beat Brandon Cook, he fought Takashi Inoue. These are all in America, these fights. Cook got stopped in 3. The Inoue fight was a 12-round unanimous decision, very wide cards. I mean, it was kind of a dull fight because Inoue was just out of his depth. And then, interestingly, he won a majority decision over Dennis Hogan. Again, this is for the WBO Super Welterweight title. But eventually, he sort of outgrew the division, moved up to middleweight. He did have an 11th round TKO over Spike O'Sullivan. That was kind of interesting. I thought, interesting fight. O'Sullivan normally gives you a good fight, but he doesn't win the big ones, does he? He beat Teriano Johnson, stopped him in 6. I think it was a retirement in 6. And Kamil Zarameta, decent European level Polish fighter. He stopped him in 6. That was Zarameta was coming off a 7th round retirement, was it, over against Golovkin. He beat the old warhorse. This is Munguia again. He beat the old warhorse, Gabe Rosado, over 12. Very, very wide cards. Demetrius Ballard, he knocked him out in 3. I mean, it was an interesting fight he had against Jimmy Kilrain Kelly. That was interesting because even though he stopped Kelly in only 5 rounds, Kelly gave him a lot to think about in the first 3 rounds. And it was he had the right tactics, Kelly. See, I think Kelly's quite an underrated fighter. I think his career has stalled and been stop-start and with more stops than starts. But I think he's actually, give him a decent, proper lifestyle, if you like, training regime and proper team. And he could be a good fighter. And he was giving Munguia something to think about. But Munguia, again, it was huge for a super welterweight, and even at middleweight, he's quite imposing because he's 6 feet tall. He can be outboxed. And his last fight was a complete mismatch against Gonzalo Correa. He stopped him in 3 rounds, and it was just a mismatch, total mismatch. And that was in November 2022, so he hasn't fought for 6.5 months, something like that. And so what's going to happen against Derevyanchenko? Well, I think even though I strongly favour Munguia to win, strongly favour it, to me the question is, can he stop Derevyanchenko? Because that will be the first time Derevyanchenko has been stopped. I think he can, but whether he will or not, I mean, this is a 12 round contest. I don't think there's even any of those silly little belts on the line. I think what we'll see is, Derevyanchenko's been on the floor twice early in the first round, and if Munguia goes after him early and starts quick, which he isn't really, he doesn't really start quick that much. He normally takes 2 or 3 rounds to get his engine moving. But if he can go in there and catch Derevyanchenko early before he's warmed up, you never know. He might have him on the floor. I can see Munguia constantly trying to put the pressure on. I can see Derevyanchenko fighting as much as boxing and landing hard punches. But I don't think Derevyanchenko's got the pop to really trouble Munguia. I think he's going to give him problems by fighting back, by constantly... And if this was a 10-rounder, I think Derevyanchenko would have a better chance. But I just see Munguia soaking up a bit of punishment, coming on strong in the middle rounds, and then winning it down the stretch very, very clearly. It's possible that Munguia might stop Derevyanchenko, become the first person to do that. Maybe late, maybe not something like the 11th round. But I tend to feel that I think it'll either be a late stoppage or a wide, it's like 116, 112, something like that, to Munguia. I think Derevyanchenko will have some success, probably rounds 5, 6, 7, maybe those middle-ish rounds. But I don't see him. I think he'll fight. He's not really a mover. Derevyanchenko is he's not a pressure fighter. He boxes, tries to use his feet a bit, But he lets punches go in clusters when he has to, when he feels confident, and he won't find Munguia's chin difficult to catch or to find. But I just think I think Munguia is a bit too young, strong. I mean, he is 11 years younger than Derevyanchenko. I do wonder about Derevyanchenko, whether he's had those title shots and lost them. Is he going to be one of those, maybe slip into that gatekeeper role? Yeah, I see this as being a late stoppage, maybe the 11th or 12th round for Munguia, or possibly 112, 116, defeat for Derevyanchenko. Look, leave your comments below. Tell me what you think about this fight. I think the stars will blend to create a pretty decent, entertaining fight. But let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, as always. If you can subscribe to the channel, that'd be fantastic. Hit the like button, that helps us out as well. I want to build the channel up. Spread the word about Joe Stunner Boxing if you could. Nice one. And yeah, looking forward to reading your comments as always, and we'll speak again soon, and bye for now.